Just wait till you take a bite of this thing. So today we're going to begin making the Big V sandwich, and it's going to be really simple to put this together. We're going to start by making our egg wash and our bowl of breadcrumbs. This is going to be super easy, and it doesn't take measurements. It's all improv and what you're feeling. We'll start with the bowl of breadcrumbs because I have the bowl right here and all of the spices. You can add whatever spices you want to the breadcrumbs. Just make sure you season them. This is what I'm picking, like this Montreal steak seasoning and this Cajun style seasoning. I put this stuff on everything, so that's the only reason I'm adding it. So we're going to mainly do Italian breadcrumbs because this is an Italian sandwich. And again, this is just by eye. If you're not comfortable eyeing something out, I would maybe say like 2 cups because you can always add more. And I always like to top it off with a little bit of panko. And we're going to add all these spices. Make sure you salt your breadcrumbs. And we're going to leave all these spices right here because we're going to do the same thing to the egg wash. The key ingredient to this breadcrumb mix is going to be the Parmesan cheese. That's an Italian secret. Don't be shy. You're going to want to add a good amount to the breadcrumbs. Now we're just going to mix this all up and set it to the side. And do the exact same thing to the egg wash. You can add milk to this egg wash. I'm out, so I'm not going to add it, but this is just something to get the chicken nice and wet so it soaks up all those delicious breadcrumbs. Save. That was a save. So I just added 2 eggs to make my egg wash. Depending on how much chicken you have, you might want to add more eggs, but this is going to be good to start because we're just going to dip it. Again, this is just making the chicken a little bit wet. So we're going to do the exact same thing and add all of our seasonings to this bowl. You want to make sure you're always seasoning your breadcrumb mixture and your egg wash in any recipe. Or if you're doing something like working with flour, you're going to want to make sure you're seasoning each step along the way. Ooh, that was a lot that I just dumped in there, but again, this recipe has no measurements, so it's okay. It doesn't really matter. And we're just going to mix this up. If you don't know how to whisk, it's all in the wrist. All you do is flick the wrist like that. If it hurts to whisk, you're not doing it right. So we've got both our egg wash and our breadcrumb mixture. We're just going to set that to the side and we're going to move on to the next step. Now something else super simple, we're going to make the salad dressing. This is going to be the only thing we measure out, but it's super easy, just a couple tablespoons of each ingredient. So to make this easy, honey mustard dressing, we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Again, you don't need the best or most high quality ingredients, it's just whatever's in your kitchen. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. And a tablespoon of honey. Then we're going to add some minced garlic and some salt and pepper. And just give this a little stir. We've got our honey mustard vinaigrette dressing for the sandwich. And we're just going to set this aside and move on. This is probably going to be the most difficult thing, and it's pounding the chicken out so it's super thin for the sandwich. Pound these into nice thin chicken cutlets. So now we're getting ready to deep fry the chicken. This is actually the first thing I learned to cook, how to batter and fry chicken. So follow along with me because it's super, super simple. This is a super beginner recipe and this tech is extremely easy to batter and fry some meat. You can apply this to other things like veggies and other meats besides chicken. It's absolutely delicious and a super simple way to set up dinner. So we have our thin chicken breasts here that I pounded out. I went ahead and pounded this out because I wanted super thin cutlets, but you don't have to take the extra time, especially if you don't have things like a mallet. You just want some super thin chicken breast. So we're going to take these big pieces and we're going to dunk them in the egg wash. Make sure it gets completely coated in that egg wash. Then we're going to make sure you get all that excess off. and put it in the breadcrumbs. I like to stick it in there and then cover it with the breadcrumbs like a little blanket. Then I like to smash the breadcrumbs in there. You want to make sure the breadcrumbs really stick to the meat. Then we're going to turn the piece of chicken over and make sure that other side is completely covered in breadcrumbs. You can do the double dip technique. That's completely up to you. We're just going to do a single dip here. Look at that, nice breaded breast. And you're going to do this to all your chicken. Don't be afraid to get dirty. A good tech is always keeping one hand clean. So again, you only need to use one hand doing this. That's what chefs do. After we do this chicken, the last ingredient we're going to prep is the salad, and then we're going to move on to frying up this chicken. My mouth was watering when I tried this sandwich in New Orleans, so I am so excited to recreate it. I took a bite and was like, I'll be making this at home. And our last piece. It's actually really hard to talk and cook at the same time. I guess it's hard to be funny and cook. I don't know how people like Masterson does it. Gordon Ramsay's just mad because he can't think of anything funny to say. Remember, pound all those breadcrumbs into the chicken breast. You want to make sure that chicken breast is completely coated with breadcrumbs. This is the most complicated and messiest step of the recipe. We're going to get this all cleaned up, and then we're moving on to the next step. The simple last thing to assemble is the salad, which we're just going to add a couple tablespoons. We're just going to add a couple measurements of this dressing to this salad. We're going to toss it up, and we're going to set it aside to put on the sandwich. So now we're simply going to shallow fry the chicken. You're just going to take a shallow pan, add some vegetable oil to it, get it nice and hot, probably medium high. We're going to let this oil heat up, and then we're going to get this chicken fried, and then we're ready to assemble the sandwich. A good test to see if your oil's ready is to take a little bit of the breadcrumbs and drop it in the oil. If it sizzles like that, the oil's ready. Let's get the meat in. We're going to give this a couple minutes on each side, and then it's going to be ready to assemble the sandwich. At the same time this chicken is cooking, I'm toasting my bread in the oven. Let's check the bottom and see how it's looking. It's looking like it's turning a nice golden brown, so I'm going to give this a flip, especially because you're starting to see the edges crisp up a little on the top. So let's flip this over. It's got a beautiful color underneath. We're going to give this another couple minutes, and then we're ready. This chicken looks ready. It's got beautiful color on both sides. I'm going to drain this onto a plate with a napkin so all that excess oil comes off. Move on to the next breast. Now we're going to get started assembling the Big V sandwich. So we're going to start assembling our Big V by adding a bunch of mozzarella. Load that baby up. This is an Italian sandwich. Let's not be cheap on the cheese. Then, of course, like every great Italian sandwich, we're going to add a bunch of prosciutto. Just dress that however you want. Put these ingredients down in this sandwich with love. Remember, there's no wrong way to do this. Just going to make it like a little blanket. And that's looking absolutely perfect. Remember, in New Orleans, they did not cheap out on the prosciutto. Then we're going to add our beautiful chicken cutlet. I cut it open just to double check it's cooked. If you have a meat thermometer, that's even better, but look how good it looks inside. Just slap that right on top. And then, of course, we're going to add in this salad. You can use arugula. I had lettuce here. You can use absolutely whatever you want. The key is that honey mustard vinaigrette. Now, if I was smart, I actually would have relayered this differently so the salad doesn't get the bread wet. So we're going to do that right now. Boop. I'm going to add a couple more pieces of mozzarella. You know why? Because I can. And that's that Big V. Look at that. Look at the chicken still smoking. It looks absolutely phenomenal. straight out from Francolini's. We're recreating that Francolini's Big V sandwich. Looks absolutely marvelous. And there you guys have it. That's the Big V. You see why it's got that name? We just recreated the Big V sandwich from Francolini's in New Orleans. Great freaking job. Look at how it looks. Look at it. It looks absolutely beautiful. I am so proud. I had so much fun making this today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Check out my other videos to see more great food along the way, and let me know what you think we should recreate next. I can't wait to eat this soon. Croissant. This is what I did with the leftovers. Put some on a croissant. Looks absolutely delicious.